Good evening and welcome to this new visualization reporting features in Power BI webinar. Well, I had to add the word quite in front because when we speak about Power BI, it feels like when something is new, it has happened yesterday or last week. So in this webinar during the next hour, I will be presenting some features about reporting and visualizations, like bookmarks, buttons, drill through filters, report tooltips, and some other things that actually have been already in Power BI for a few months, or some of them were released already last winter time, January, February, March, but I still have noticed that when giving presentations and training and telling about Power BI, there are still many users who don't use bookmarks or buttons yet, or don't know what drill through filters are. I'm Heidi Enho, and I work for Sulava in Helsinki, Finland. I work as a trainer and consultant, and I'm also a Microsoft MVP data platform. I used to also have this Excel MVP title. I'm the co-organizer of Microsoft BI and Power BI user group here in Finland, and I also write blogs. I build different kinds of visualizations out of Finnish open data, but those are Finnish blogs and the data is Finnish, so also my visualizations are usually in Finnish. I will share you these slides and also the demo file that I will show you after the session. And the session will be highly demo-based session, so I will show you a lot of things, and these slides are more like some kind of notes about the topics that you can then recap by viewing the slides over again. So let's get started. First of all, quite many of those features that I will be showing you, they need different kinds of panes in the user interface. So you need to activate or open the bookmarks pane, or the selection pane, or the sync slicers pane. So I just started my presentation with this picture because here are the different panes that we will need while preparing our reports to be as user-friendly as possible. And first, we will start about filtering and slicing experience. What should you consider when building your reports and using, for example, slicers? Well, first, I suggest that all of us should actually open each of our Power BI file and check that we have all remembered to choose the filter restatement, so that the users, when they are using our reports and they are making selections from the slicers, they can also see what they have, what is the selection. I'm actually I'm a bit confused, or I'm wondering why the filter restatement, it's not a default option. So we who develop reports, we need to remember to activate it so that the users, they can see what they have selected, and the reports that we are building, they are as user-friendly as possible. I'm not sure if you have already started to use this filter restatement, but it shows you either if you have selected one, it shows what is the selection. If you have multiple selections, it will tell it, or if everything is selected, then it will show that the all option in the slicer header. So it's the slicer header option that you should check and should start using with your reports. Well, here is really a new feature available. Actually, this is a feature that came into Power BI Desktop yesterday. So this is the November version, a new feature that has something to do with the filters. So nowadays, if you enable the updated filter panel and show filters in the visual header for this report, the users, they can see a tiny filtering icon on top of each visual on the page. And when they move their mouse on top of that icon, it will tell them and it will show them what filters and what slicers affects to that visual at the time. And this is something that we have now been waiting for 3 years, and now it's available, but it's not a default option for the old reports. So you should open all your files and go to options and report settings and then enable this feature to show what kind of filters you have there. Great new feature available. Still, when I'm building reports for my clients, very often they still want to see the selected values somehow. Perhaps they even print their reports and they want to see the selected values printed. Usually, I have the habit. I usually build a bunch of measures like selected category, selected salesperson, selected product group, whatever they are. And then I use these multi-row cards and put these measures into multi-row cards. These are easy to show either horizontally or vertically. Put them on top of your report, bottom or right or left, and give the users the ability also to see all the selections like this. Sometimes, if my clients want, I might spend some more time building more complicated measures. Like here I have an example that shows for example, the first 5 selected products listed and separated by commas. This function here, it shows either the all option if everything is selected, or it shows more than 5 products selected, or all of them listed. And of course, this doesn't fit into a multi-row card. If my clients want to have this kind of selection cards, then I usually use those basic cards. At least I think that it's quite important that all the time the users, when they use my reports, they know what are the values that they are looking at. So there are this kind of different ways to show the values for them. Okay, but then syncing slicers. We had to wait quite a long time to get these sync slicers in Power BI. I don't remember even exactly, was it last January or was it, or when was it, but we got it at last. So now we can sync our slicers between all the pages in a report. And at the moment, it supports only built-in slicer. But Microsoft has promised that the support for custom slicers is coming. And well, they already once promised that it should come last summer, but it didn't. They are still working on it. So at the moment, if you want to sync your slicers, you have to use the built-in slicer to be able to do that. And let's take a look at a short demo. So I have here one file. So sales example report file with many pages, but most of the pages are hidden, as you can see. Here I have now used the filter restatement. So as you can see, when I do some selections, the filtering header shows what is selected. And if you take a look at here, you can also see these selection values. So I have now here these multi-row cards with those measures that tells what selections have been made. Sometimes when clients want to have reports where they have lots of slicers, I usually use different colors, like here, blue color for product filters, resellers, the orange and light blue for those employee filters. In this example, when there are so many different slicers, I have only one kind of slicer or filters page, and then I have copied, for example, here into sales by time page, I have copied those multi-row cards. So in every single page, the user knows and sees what kind of selections have been made, but then there is the one central place to do the selections if there are lots of them. As you can see, when I go over to the card, total sales, now there is this new button. Well, it's new. It likes to hide itself, and it tells that at the moment this value, there are these 4 filter or slicer values that affects to this visual, and this was the option that you had to choose from options, report settings, and enable the updated filter pane and show filters in the visual header. And this came to Power BI yesterday. And this updated filter pane, it means this white pane here. So nowadays we will define our filters like we used to define. We used visualizations pane, and there the filters pane where you drag and drop the filters. But nowadays you can close eyes, you can hide some pre-made filters that you don't want to show to users. And actually this white filters pane, it just shows you how the user sees your filters. You can even lock filters so that they cannot change your predefined filters. So great new features came yesterday, like this one. What about syncing the slicers? There you need from the View tab, the Sync Slicers pane. And in the Sync Slicers pane, you can see all the pages you have in your report. And then you have 2 columns. There is a column where you could now tell, I have this category slicer selected, and I could then tell what are the pages that I want this category slicer to slice. I could also select what are the pages where I want this slicer to be visible. So I could open and close eyes, so I could check and uncheck. And at the moment, this category slicer is visible only in this filters page and is in this page. The name is 01 slicer example, but it slices and it affects to many pages. When I chose the bikes, it automatically also sliced sales by time. So here the card tells that bikes are sliced, or that is the slicer selection. When you start using the sync slicer tool, you could always, there is this add and sync with all pages, easily sync a slicer with all of your pages. Can you still hear me? Because it seems, well, yes, there it was. Yeah. Yes, yeah. It was the Pane that I lost it, so I thought probably the connection was lost too. Okay, so let's go further, and let's move into our next topics. We will later on see how we can actually build a button that clears all the filters. That is also something that users usually would like to have, an easy way to clear all the filters and all the slicers, but that requires some bookmarks and some buttons, and bookmarks require a selection pane. So let's continue into the selection pane first. I assume that you have the chat available, and if you ask questions by using the chat, hopefully Jan then will tell me that there are questions, and of course we can go through those questions also after my presentation.
So far there are no questions yet.
Okay.
People will start asking you questions once you go to the selection pane.
Yes. What about, just to be sure, when I'm speaking, drawing, and my mouse moves, is it in sync with my speak?
Yeah,
or,
so far it's good.
Yes, so there is no delay. Okay, thanks. Okay, so usually we could build our users quite nice navigation to work with our reports instead of just clicking the page names in the bottom. We could build buttons to navigate from one page to another. We could use buttons to clear the filters and do many kinds of things. But before we start to build those buttons, we need to build some bookmarks to where the buttons then lead us. And with bookmarks, we usually also want to define what is visible on the page and what is hidden on the page. So with the selection pane, you can start building pages where something is visible or hidden, and then you can kind of save these views as bookmarks. So you need a selection pane when working and building your reports containing bookmarks. While you are in one page of your report and you open the selection pane, it shows the title of each object on that report page. So for example, here in this picture, we can see that on the page that where I am, there are quite a lot of different kinds of objects like page title, total sales euros. Well, it could be a card or it could be something else because the selection pane, it shows the title that you have given for the object. So usually you don't want to have a title like total sales euro card. You left the card out, and that's why probably the names of these objects are not so intuitive, because they are the titles of your objects. Here you also can see this column with eyes. And by clicking these eyes, you can choose which objects are visible and which which of the objects are then hidden. This selection pane actually also defines the layout order of visuals. If you draw visuals on top of the other visuals, so some of them are kind of you can send backwards or bring forward to define the layout, but also this selection pane defines the layout, and you can drag and drop and move your objects in this list, and the object that is on the top of the list, it is kind of, it's the object that is the most forward object, the top object on a page. So let's see if I go back to my Power BI file, sales example file. Now I should clear the filters. I already have here some buttons that we will study in a minute. And then I go to sales by time page and choose to show the selection pane. In this page, as you can see, there are quite a lot of different kinds of objects, like the page title here. If I close the eye, click the button, it is hidden. And let's try if I show the info text box. So I would like to show some information about the page. Then I could show the view where the info text box is visible. Otherwise, I will show the report itself. So each object is here, and you can define which of them are visible and which not. And for example, this sales title, if I go to the visualizations formatting pane, the title here, the title is hidden. It's a page title, but the title is the one that the selection pane shows you. But we don't do anything with the selection pane itself. We use it only when building our bookmarks and then attaching our bookmarks into buttons. Bookmarks in Power BI are kind of snapshots. They are views. You build your report page, you choose what results are visible and what are hidden, and then you can save it as a bookmark. But actually the bookmark, it is much more than just a view. It also kind of saves not only those things that what are visible. So it not only saves these display options here, it also saves so-called data options. And what does it mean? Bookmark can contain the information, what filters you have, how the page is sliced, or for example, what are the sort orders in your tables or in your visuals. And of course, well, that's obvious. It also saves the information if you want that what is the page where the bookmark takes you. And the bookmarks pane is the place where you then use, build, and modify your bookmarks. You can add them, and you could also use bookmarks as a storytelling tool. So you could also start kind of a tour to view all your bookmarks in a certain order. So bookmarks can be either for navigation, or you can use them for storytelling, and you can start running your story with the view tool. But let's see those in action. I already have many bookmarks in this file because I already have here a navigation, and my bookmarks are already attached to buttons. So you can already see here some bookmark groups. I have grouped those bookmarks that has something to do with the filters page or the sales by time page and so on. But let's assume that I don't have any bookmarks yet. So let's close our eyes. We don't have these here yet. I would like to have a bookmark that brings me here to sales by time page. So I would first build the page like it is here. These are now the things that are visible and some are hidden. And then I would add a bookmark and give it a name. Rename it. This would be my sales basic view, for example. I would also like to give this or add this filters page as a bookmark, like it is at the moment. And pay attention that at the moment I don't have any filters, or all my slicers are clear. So I have no slicers, no filters at all. So when I add the bookmark, and this would be like filters, basic view, it also saved the data. It not only saved the display, what is visible, it did not only save the current page information, it also saved the data. And the data means it saved the filters and the sorting orders. And now I have two bookmarks. I can switch to sales basic view with this one, and then I can return back to filters basic view with this one. But both of them, they also contain the information what kind of a filter I have. And that means that if I select the bikes here and then the reseller business type warehouse, and then I switch to my sales basic view, it actually clears the filters that I just made, because the default option is that it always, when you build or add a new bookmark, it actually also saves the information what were the filter and slicer values when you saved it. So usually when you build your bookmarks, usually you don't want to save the data, so you unselect it. And now when I have a bookmark without data saved, it means that if I do any selections here, choose something from my filters page, and then switch to my sales basic view, I still have the same selection that I made earlier. So usually these bookmarks that just switches the page or the location, usually you remove the data option from the bookmark. Well, what about then if I want to have a bookmark that actually that I could use to clear the filters? So I would like to have a bookmark that actually returns everything back to this what I now have here. So I would add a bookmark and I could rename it. It would be like no filters at all, like this. Let's try it. So I do a selection, then I go to my sales basic view. Of course, usually I would use buttons, but we don't have buttons yet. So I use it from the pane. So now I'm in the sales basic view. I have the bikes selected here, as you can see. And now I would like to remove the filters. So I click no filters at all. But by default, the bookmark has also the current page information, so it returns me back to this page. It didn't leave me to sale page like I would like to stay there if I just want to clear the filters. So that's why now I need to change this filter so that it should return the data as it was, like clear the filters, but it should not save the current page information. And now I have a bookmark where I can go select things, go to another bookmark, then choose to clear the filters, and it will clear the filters because the data, the filter options were saved in this bookmark, but it doesn't return me back to the current page that where I saved originally that bookmark. And nowadays, yes, this is quite new feature that nowadays when you select these bookmarks, you can then group them. So select with Control key and then build a group, and you could have different kinds of groups like I already have here. I have this filters group with bookmarks that has something to do with that. Then I have the sales by time. Let's go to the basic view. There I also have sales report info view that shows the info pane, and some other bookmarks too. If you would need to do some changes into your bookmarks, you would first prepare your page and then click the three-dot button and update the bookmark so that the new changes on that page would affect into that bookmark. So with bookmarks and with buttons, you can start building the navigation and bookmarks. I will show it to you later. You can also use as a storytelling tool. So it has two different kinds of use cases available. But let's return back to the storytelling later. Well, you or the users, they don't want to open the bookmarks pane to use those bookmarks. Of course, you start building the navigation that is based on the buttons on the page. You can add buttons, or you can add images, and both images, buttons, and drawing objects, actually three kinds of things you can then attach these bookmarks into. The buttons list contains many kinds of buttons, but actually you could do everything with this blank button. So you could add a blank button and then define it, choose the icon and choose the behavior for your button. And in this list, actually, almost all of the buttons don't have anything else than an icon already. But you could always start with the blank and then choose which icon you would like to show. There are only two buttons that really have already some pre-made actions behind. So if you use back button, it already has the back action there behind. So it knows how to return you back to the original page. And then there is this question and answer button that has also this predefined feature that when user clicks the Q&A button, they see those questions you have pre-made for them, because you can do that, or they can start typing and asking questions themselves. But all the other buttons, they are like the blank one. They just have the icon available. And when you start adding buttons, there are the most important thing, or the things, of course, the button text, what the visual outlook feel what color it is, and then of course the action if you wanted to if you want to attach a bookmark and which bookmark, or if you want to build a button with back or Q&A feature. Let's see it here in my sales example. I have here now on every single page, I have exactly the same buttons. It's easier to build these if you build a set of buttons with colors and actions and the button texts, and then just control and select all of them and copy and paste to other pages, and then you have identical buttons on each page. Just copy and paste the buttons to other pages. Okay, let's see. For example, these clear filters, I made it with the blank, started from here. Then I added the button text, clear filters, text size, font color. Then I chose the outline, round edges, it's a round button, and outline color is the same as the fill color here. And of course, then the action. And you have 3 actions: back, bookmark, or Q&A action. And if you choose bookmark, then you can select which bookmark this button does. Actually, I still have one. As you can see, when I move my mouse on top of the buttons, they change their color when hovering over the button. It means that I have done something. Let's see, it was in the fill. Yes, fill color. So there outline colors, fill colors, and others. There are always 3 options: default state, what is the color when the mouse is not on top of it, and then what is the color on hover when you move your mouse on top of the button, and if the color changes at the moment when you press the button. So you can define different colors for different mouse moves or clicks if you want to start doing something like that. And after that, these buttons, well, when you are in the Power BI desktop, you need to use Control key to follow the link, but when you are in the cloud service or Power BI report server viewing your reports, then of course you don't need any Control key. Here I have this info button. It is connected to that view that shows the info and a back button to return back to the original place. And here, this one, yes, I almost forgot. This is now the Q&A button. And what does it do? If you add a Q&A button, then you can click it with the Control key down, and it opens the Q&A window where you can yourself, while developing your reports, you can start typing those questions, and you can add those questions here. So there you could have some pre-made questions for the users to get the idea that they can start asking questions. And there can also be, if you type the name of a page in your report, you can also add that kind of thing as a question. And of course, the users, when they use your reports, they can then type and ask questions. A new feature, I think this came also, was it on October? I'm not sure, but it's quite new. So nowadays you can start also asking related questions. When you have asked something, then you could continue asking even more detailed information about that topic. So we can build quite nice workbooks or Power BI files with buttons and bookmarks, and have a navigation, user-friendly navigation for the user. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I hide all other pages so that the users cannot even see the pages in the navigation. So when they come to the report, they see only the first page where they then start navigating themselves from one page to another page with the buttons. But of course, you can leave your pages visible too. Still one tip for using buttons. Here I have a page with a bar and line chart, and I have a button on the bottom below the chart that switches this combo into a table or backwards. And this was actually made so that I just have two pictures, or images. These images here, I have two images. One image, if I move it, is this one. Okay, let's try to locate it from the selection pane. The other one, I should have here to toggle show table and toggle show chart. Now you can see I have two pictures that are just on top of each other, and they seem to be a toggle button, but they are on top of each other, and when the user clicks the button, it actually then the button or the image is connected. There is this action here, like bookmark, table view, and the other image is connected to the one that shows the combo view. And well, you don't need to spend time, or yes, this also takes some time, but you don't need to add different report page for every single chart. You could start building reports where with buttons, the content of the report page changes, and the user could choose which kind of filters or which kind of visuals they want to see with your buttons. And yes, something that I didn't mention earlier, this file actually, and I will share this to you so you can then play with it yourself. This file actually, it has the filters in the first page, and then we have here those buttons that switches to other bookmarks, to other pages, where we can see those multi-row cards telling what is selected. But I have actually spent some more time building this. But yes, it took some time, and I probably don't want to spend this much time usually doing everything, but I have spent some time. Here you can see an arrow that actually changes a bookmark or switches to a bookmark that shows all the slicers also in this page. So I have drawn one. I don't even remember. Was it probably it was just a shape, a rectangle that I then colored as blue, and then I put all the slicers on top of it, and then I did some work playing with the selection pane. So I opened all the eyes that shows the blue bar and then all the slicers, and then I saved this as one bookmark, and then added this arrow image here that either switches so that it shows me the the multi-row cards or it shows these. But yes, this takes time. And if the client then asks me, please do some changes, then I am in a trouble, because I have this done in every single page. And now if something should be changed, I had to start updating and changing all those bookmarks. So usually I would not even consider starting to do something like this, because it takes a lot of time. It would be easier just to have this one central filter page for users to use. And then still a couple of more things that I would like to point out. And one is this report page tooltip. It's really simple and easy to use, but while giving trainings, still see that there are quite a lot of users or report developers who actually haven't noticed or used these tooltips at all. What does it mean? It means that, of course, we can always have these black tooltips. This is the default tooltip, or the other option is to build a tiny, small report page, define it as a tooltip, and then connect it into those visuals where you want to show your own pre-made tooltip report page instead of that black tooltip. Sometimes you could even use this to give some instructions or to tell something more about the calculation rules. So it could be a tiny small report page with only some text, or it can be what kind of report you just want to build. But remember that don't choose in your tooltip report anything with a scroll bar. For example, here I have only this, I have only these 4 product categories, because I know that this company don't have more product categories than these 4. If there would be more product categories and this table would have a scroll bar, the user couldn't or can't use those scroll bars while viewing these tooltips. And how do you build a tooltip page into your report? First, you add a new page and choose a suitable page size, usually quite small. It can be a small page, or there is also this tooltip option available. So I don't remember what was the size with the tooltip. You can study it yourself, but it's a tiny small page. Then you also need to tell from the page information from the format pane that the page will be a tooltip, and usually you want to hide the tooltip page from the navigation. Then you would go into that visual where you want to connect your tooltip and choose the visual, and from the format tab change the tooltip so that instead of the default tooltip, it uses a report page, and then you choose which tooltip to use. So let's take a look at it. I will show you our Helsinki metro visualization with the tooltip. First, I will show you. I think this is the Brussels metro line map. And in Finland, in Helsinki, where I am from, our metro is quite simple. So we have a single line. And for example, I live near Matinkylä, and I work near this Helsinki University station. So it's the single line to go from Matinkylä to Helsinki, Helsingin yliopisto, Helsinki University, and it takes 20 minutes. If you go from Matinkylä, for example, to Vuosaari, the other end of our metro, it takes 39 minutes. But here I have here a commuter parking tooltip page. So tiny, small tool page which tells how many parking slots there are for commuter parking, for bicycle and car commuter parkings. And I have a picture also showing that station. And here I have now the page size is custom, really small, and the page information. So this is a tooltip page like this. And then I have added or connected it into this map. So my tooltip here, it is a report page and it's that one, and then it works. So if I'm going from Matinkylä to Ruoholahti, and I would be interested in how many parking slots there are in commuter parking slots in Matinkylä. So you can see that there are 600 bicycle slots and 350 car slots, and you can also see the picture of Matinkylä station. And the next one, Niittykumpu, 200 bicycle and 80 car parking slots, and so on. So these tooltips, of course, they are interactive and they react, and it changes. The report changes based on where the user moves the mouse. And also I have here in the sales example, I have a profit tooltip page, this one. And then I have attached it to sales by time and this hover over bars visual. And here we can see what is the profit in euros, profit percent, and so on. And you could also add a tooltip page into cards nowadays. That is quite a new feature. Let's try it. I have some other tooltip pages also, so I attach my basic sales tooltip page into this card. Let's see if I move my mouse here. So this basic tooltip, it contains how many distinct orders there are, what is the total sales amount, and what are the top 3 salesperson, top 3 employees who has sold the most. So quite nice feature, and I at least think that it is nicer to see these than those black boxes that are there by default. And still, I have 1 or 2 things to show you and a couple of minutes left. So drill through pages is also a nice option. It has something to do with the navigation and the ability to drill to see details or drill to see more information about your data. So the user, they see those drill through things that you have built for them. If they right click visual, they might find drill through places if you have prepared them. And the idea is here in the slides, it is also told, but I will show it here directly from the file. For example, total sales amount in euros in this visual here. Some users have asked sometimes if they have used pivot tables in Excel. So they ask, in Excel you can double click a cell to see what records are there behind that value. And in Power BI, you cannot double click any cells to view the records, but you could actually build for your users. You could build a report page with a table and with all those details that they are interested in, like the order number, the date, order line, employee name, and so on. So you could build this kind of a page that shows some details. And then if you would like them to be able to drill into this page, you would then use this drill through thing here. So you would drag all those fields like total sales amount, total cost amount, so measures or fields. If you want that they could drill, if they see employee somewhere, they could right click and drill into the employee or whatever is the drilling option or the where they what is the base of the drilling operation. You can drag and drop fields here. And now I have dragged total sales amount measure here. So automatically it then adds also this back button, because when you drag something, then automatically that page is a drill through page. Usually you hide these drill through pages from the navigation. And after that, wherever the user sees total sales amount, like in this sales time report. Well, do I have here? Is this sales amount? I'm not sure. Let's try it, drill through. Yes, I could drill through to the sales rows. But also here, instead of double clicking a value, they could right click and then drill through to sales rows and see those rows where that number comes from. So wherever that measure is or any other field that you have dragged into the drill through pane, they can then start drilling into details and see more info about the bar or the sector or the number they have clicked. And the last thing that I will show you, it is about the storytelling, and I will show you it in another file. Let's open. Well, I have done quite a lot of all kinds of open data visualizations, and this is now one of the visualizations which is in English. So I use this one to demonstrate the storytelling capabilities, because in my sales example there I don't have any stories, I just had those navigation things. But in my Eurovision Song Contest visualizations, where I have all kinds of details about winners, languages, and so on. Here I have, if I open the Bookmarks pane, oh, where are all my bookmarks? I had them here, and now it tells that they have disappeared. Really? Is this true? Yes, it is. Okay, so I show you one example. Let's try. I select a decade, 1960, and add this as a bookmark. Let's rename it 1960. Okay. Then let's choose 19, or if I go here, yes, let's choose 1980. Was it 6? Yes, it was Belgium, the winner. So I add this as a bookmark and like this. And then the second one, or the third one. Now I don't even remember what was the year when Finland won it. Well, let's choose this one, 2010. So the Germany was the winner. Let's add it and change the name. And then I would also like to add one bookmark where the country here is in focus mode. And let's add this one and rename it countries, like this. So, well, this was not the story that I was meant to show you, but now I have here a story. So I have 4 different bookmarks that I want to go through in a certain order. Then I could start viewing the story, and after that I will have here on the bottom a bar where I could go through all those bookmarks in that order that I have saved, and there would be my story. And at the moment, well, there is not much to use with these bookmarks, because the only one who can build bookmarks is at the moment is the developer. But Microsoft has promised that there will be also in the cloud service, at least, there will be the possibility to build personal stories. So after you have developed a report and published it into a Power BI service, the users, they could start building their own stories. And did I have a picture here showing yes, I have. So when the users, when they view your reports, they can choose View and Bookmarks Pane. And in Bookmarks Pane, they can then click View and start viewing the story in that direction. You have built it, but well, while we are waiting for them to be able to build their personal bookmarks, and last week, I think it was, there was one Twitter post from one Microsoft employee, and in his Twitter post, there was already a screenshot where it was the personal bookmark was there somehow. So they are already testing it, and let's see how soon we will get those personal bookmarks into Power BI. Okay, so that were the topics that I'd like to show you about how to build bookmarks, buttons, how to use drill through or tooltips, and also some of those brand new filtering options that we have received yesterday in Power BI desktop.
Okay, thank you very much. One of the online viewers says, great presentation, learned a lot. So that's very positive. I'm looking around the room.
Same here.
Yeah, everybody, yeah, cool. So very well done. I have a question that you might directly implement in the Eurovision report while you were searching for the winner.
Okay.
I would have thought that you would easily implement Q&A here. Is it possible to ask a question with a data model like that? Just a winner Belgium, or when did Belgium win?
Yes, actually, now I don't. Well, now I must tell that it has been. I made this a couple of years ago, and actually I don't remember quite well what kind of a data model here I have and what measures do I have. But I have like count of contests, count of winners, hosting countries. And yes, this is actually in English the data. So I could for example, if I add a button, let's see what happens. If I add a Q&A button, for example, in this page somewhere, let's put it there. And then if I click it and Belgium winner, and this is now the winner, yes, and the host country, Norway. And let's try what year Belgium won. Yes, it answered. So it works. And let's then ask a related question. What if I first add this question into the pane and then ask a related question? Who was the winner? No, it didn't understand that I wanted to ask the related. Let's try it again. What year Belgium won? Ask a related question. Who was the winner? And it shows all of them. But actually, what would you suggest?
Maybe that was it song, dan was it niet here.
Yeah, maybe. I would have thought that maybe you had to. It doesn't recognize who, I think. So maybe you have to add it into the Q&A file with all the.
Yes, I think so too. So
with winner and loser.
Yes.
What did you say again?
Yeah, that was the song that did win.
Oh, if you type what was a song that won?
But it's still, even if I now, well, this is quite, I think this related question, it came last, month ago, if I'm right. So probably it is not yet working so fine that it will work. But if we have something and ask a related question and then song, then it should give us only the song that is related to the previous question. But it still gives all the songs. So in this case, it didn't understand that I wanted to have the related question here. Yes.
Okay.
Song from Belgian winner.
Yes, song from Belgian winner.
It's a performer is the name. Yes, let's try again. What year Belgium won? And then ask a related and performer, for example. What does it give? Well, it still gives, but performer Belgium, Sandra Kim.
Yeah.
Now we have the correct answer.
Okay, cool. I look one last time for questions around the room. No, nothing online either.
Okay. So then I'll continue here in Finland waiting for the real winter to come. It's quite dark here and it's raining all the time. Okay. Thanks a lot and have a nice evening and have a nice time with Power BI.
Thank you. Same to you, Heidi.
Bye-bye.
Bye.